Hi everyone, welcome to another fire class where today we are practicing with gratitude. Holding poses for approximately 5 breaths. This session has a lot of great focus on the upper body and feet, and as we move throughout, we'll think about what we are grateful for in every pose that shows up. Hoping you're looking forward to this session. When you are ready, we'll get started in a seated position. Settling yourself into a comfortable position that will serve your body to commence our yoga practice. Maybe your legs are crossed or perhaps they're long. Maybe there's an object underneath your seat. Whatever feels best for you, allow your body to land into this shape, find stillness, and dial down in the eyes. Bringing your hands to land on your heart, one palm on top of the other. Begin to feel your breath coming and going. Begin to deepen your inhales and exhales, entering and exiting through the nose, expanding a little bit further with every breath, and softening a bit deeper with every exhale. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Perhaps setting your intention today around finding gratitude within your body for every pose and shape that shows up here, and for every single breath that comes and goes. Taking one final inhale in this seated posture, and then allowing the eyelids to flutter open, gentle movement to come where it is desired. We meet in cactus arms, still in our seat, palms face forward, elbows bent at a 90 degrees. In this shape, allow your spine to lengthen and your shoulder blades to come together. This is the first pose in our warm-up where we'll go through everything twice. Taking one more inhale as you next exhale, releasing your hands down to the earth behind you, bringing the soles of your feet onto the earth, either keeping your chest pressed forward or lifting up like I am demonstrating here into reverse tabletop. Doing your best to activate in your glutes to lift the hips high, feeling this in your upper body especially. Toes and fingers are facing the same direction. Maybe you're able to drop the head so that the neck and spine are aligned, but if this is too intense, keep the gaze forward. As you next exhale, release yourself to staff pose where you can choose to stay, or exhale to fold yourself forward to a seated forward fold. Acknowledging the back side of your legs here, the lower spine. Maybe a softness into the upper body as you exhale a bit further towards the legs. Taking one more breath before we come back to that first pose. Seated cactus arms. Your legs can stay long or crossing them to a place of comfort. Focusing on finding a little more length in the backside this round. Our second and final visit, where can you intensify this posture while softening in places that don't need to be active? With your next breath out, setting up for reverse tabletop or some variation of this pose that allows the heart to shine ahead. Really rooting into your feet no matter where you are. Take one more inhale, and then very gently as you exhale, transitioning out of this posture, setting up for your forward fold seated position. Hinging deeply from the hips. You can flex in the feet to go a little more intensely here, acknowledging where you can find softness, inviting gravity into your fold. Coming into our second warm-up here. We've got 3 of them today. When you are ready, meeting in tabletop, flipping the palms so that they are upwards but fingers towards the knees. A deep stretch into the outsides of the wrists. We'll be going through these poses twice, focusing on wrists and feet. Go as soft as you need to here, just a gentle acknowledgement into this part of the body. Before we come out, tuck the toes under and shift the glutes to meet the heels. If possible in your body, keep the spine tall, but if a little softness and support is required, allow the hands to rest a bit more forward, either on the thighs or the mat. Like in mountain pose, the palms face forward, big breaths in and out, lengthen in the spine, feel the arch of the foot lengthening and being acknowledged for one more exhale. Coming out of this pose, back to your tabletop, where one more time we flip the palms, fingers towards the knees, tops of the hands onto the mat. This should feel like a gentle stretch, being mindful not to go too far for one more breath before our second and final visit to the arches of our feet. Once you get here, if you would like to round out into the wrists or upper body, take a chance to move, remembering to continue to breathe. For 2 more breaths, we acknowledge the feet. Amazing work. With your next exhale, coming back to tabletop, where here we focus on the quads and our spine. Toes are untucked. As we start to walk the hands behind us, shift the hips forward. You should feel a deep stretch into the front of the upper legs, and perhaps the tops of your feet, depending on the tightness that lands in that space of your body. As you next inhale, transitioning your way forward, setting up for tabletop to move through some cats and cows. Inhaling to lower the navel, squeeze the shoulder blades. Exhale to curve the spine up, tuck the chin in. Keep moving with your breath, acknowledging each vertebrae in the back while opening and closing into the shoulder blade space. From here, we make one more visit to stretch and acknowledge into the quads. Hands behind you, toes untucked, shine the hips forward. And notice the stretch in the front of your legs. As you exhale, lower the hips and then transition back to tabletop, where we move through a final visit to cats and cows. Customizing here, maybe you bend deeply into the elbows, making sure that these transitions feel smooth and purposeful in your body. Wrapping up your cats and cows when you feel ready, hopefully warm and prepared in the entire body. We spread the fingers wide, toes are tucked, hips high, downward facing dog. Starting to inhale, the heels lift. Exhale to drop them closer to the mat. If this does not serve your body, allow yourself to simply stay still and breathe into this first upside down V shape. Keep gazing towards the shins. Before we start to make our way to the back of our mats. And when you arrive, transitioning into your first chair pose. Grounded into your feet, your torso lifts up, a deep bend into the knees. A very fiery pose, feeling this into the lower body. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, release and start to walk yourself all the way to the top of your mat for high plank position. We are building a sequence here that we will visit twice on each side of the body, so meaning a lot of poses show up a total of 4 times. With your next exhale, hips high, downward facing dog, before lifting the right leg for 3-legged dog. Hips are square to the ground, gazing towards your left straight leg. Doing your best to continue lifting the right foot a bit higher. As you next exhale, step the right foot through, setting up for Warrior 1. Opting today to find cactus arms if that feels good in your body. Sinking deeply into both feet, hips face forward. With your next inhale, straightening into the right leg, hinging from the hips, folding down into pyramid pose. A deep acknowledgement of the backside of the right leg. If your hands don't quite meet the ground and support is desired, 2 blocks would be handy here on either side of the foot. from your pyramid pose, place your hands to the top of your mat, stepping back, downward facing dog. We start it all again, this time focusing on the left side. A few rounds of breath in this upside down V shape, with the option to lift and lower the heels if that served you well, or to find stillness. From here, walking your hands to the back of your mat, transitioning into chair pose. Our second visit here, we focus a bit more on our form. Where else can we grow deeper and stronger? Squeezing the thighs and knees together, tailbone is under, doing your best to keep your spine really tall, as vertical as possible. Using an exhale to come out of this posture, walking your way to high plank position, where again we stay with our strength. Core is engaged, hips and shoulders are somewhat aligned. Gazing to the mat between your hands. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, lift the hips high, transitioning to three-legged dog on the left side. Left leg lifts, maybe your foot is flexed. Hips are square to the ground, gazing towards the right leg. Using an exhale to step your left foot through, Warrior One. Perhaps in cactus arms, or finding a variation that feels best for you today. Ensuring your hips face forward and both feet are grounded, take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then we transition to our pyramid pose. With a straight left leg, allow your body to hinge forward, taking support if helpful, really firing up and feeling the backside of the left leg. From here, walking your hands to feel supported, stepping back, downward facing dog, and we do it all again. One more time through the right, one more time through the left. Looking to grow deeper, to explore, and to move with curiosity and gratitude for everything your body does here. When you are ready to do so, walk your hands to the back of your mat and make your way into chair pose. Perhaps for this round, if you're feeling fiery, you come onto your tippy toes. If finding this tippy toe variation, do your best to keep your heels together. Remember to breathe. And then from wherever we are, as we next exhale, making our way back to plank position. Perhaps for this round, opting to lift the right leg. Again, noting what would feel better in your practice, not taking options simply because they are there, rather because it feels best for you. From here, we lift our hips high into three-legged dog. That transition a little bit more intense if we were in our one-legged plank. Remembering to keep the hips square, to continue drawing the right leg higher as the chest goes closer to the left leg. Amazing work using an exhale breath to step the right foot through, Warrior One. Maybe arms are to cactus once again, or perhaps you find a bind, interlacing the fingers to shine the heart high. Option for this round as we come into pyramid pose is to keep that bind as you fold yourself towards your straight right leg. Hands lifting closer towards the sky. Feel the work and effort this time as the right hamstring is acknowledged. From wherever you've been, place your hands onto the mat, step back, downward facing dog, where we reset before our final round through with focus on the left side. Our final visit to chair pose. When you are ready, hands walk to meet your feet at the back of your mat, sinking deeply, opting to take the variation that feels best for you. Wherever you are, acknowledge every bit of work your body is doing. Maybe you find a smile, feeling grateful for the strength in your form. Take one more inhale and then exhale to release, transitioning to high plank position, perhaps lifting the left leg. Our last visit to this pose, fire up where you can, take one more inhale, and as you exhale, shift into your three-legged dog. Can you lift the left leg a little bit higher? Can you draw your chest closer to the right thigh? Eventually stepping the left foot through, coming into your final warrior one of today's practice. How will you take this pose? Cactus arms, or with that bind, drawing the shoulder blades together, hands towards the back foot. And then finally making our way into pyramid pose on the left side. Either hands down to the earth for support, or keeping that bind, lifting them towards the sky. Finding an exhale, draw your hands to the earth, step back, downward facing dog, where we take a couple breaths to ground, to reset, to acknowledge, noting that when you are ready, we will meet in child's pose. Opting today perhaps to tent in the fingers to feel active in the back and arms, or modifying so this pose is serving your practice today. Remembering to breathe deeply, to reconnect with your intention, and then choosing perhaps to thread the needle, finding a shoulder stretch. Weaving the left arm underneath the right, left palm faces upwards, either keeping the right arm as it is or beginning to rotate into the torso, finding a twist. There's no better or more correct way to take this pose. The intention here is to feel a stretch into the shoulder. If you've been in threaded needle, we'll start to make our way out of this side, transitioning onto the other. Coming back to center before weaving the right arm underneath the left. Again, right palm faces up, with the option to transition the left hand either high to the sky or twisting behind you, finding that rotation, deepening into the right shoulder stretch. Giving yourself one more full inhale, one more exhale, before transitioning your way out of child's pose, coming to tabletop. From here, we acknowledge our shoulder blades with scapula presses. As you inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, drop the chest. As you exhale, pull the shoulder blades apart from each other and push the chest up. When you feel complete with these movements, we'll neutralize in the back and send the right leg behind you. Take a moment to round out into the hip if it needs any adjusting, before stepping the right foot through, where we come into a variation of lizard pose. I'm choosing today to roll onto the outside of the right foot, allowing the knee to open. Left hand stays onto the earth, and the right hand gently encourages the knee a bit wider. Back foot is untucked, and you feel a gentle stretch into the right side. As you next exhale, coming back to center, switching to your tabletop, and then setting up on the left side, taking any preparations beforehand. When you are ready, the left knee opens up to the left side, landing onto the outside of your left foot. Left hand for a little bit of encouragement to open deeper. And from here, when you are ready, making your way onto your backside, where similar to our warm-up, we move through some final poses 2 times each. I'll give you some options here, ensuring to make this perfect for your practice today. We start either in waterfall, with both feet lifted towards the sky. It's a bit passive and relaxing to stay here. Or if looking for a little bit more activity, begin to lift into shoulder stand. If coming to shoulder stand, ensure your shoulders are really grounded, that your neck is not connected to the mat. Do your best to continue looking at your legs, point in the feet, active in the core, hands support your low spine. Take a few breaths wherever you are, ensuring that this is serving you today. Very gently and slowly coming out of the pose you have chosen, bending into the knees, soles of the feet onto the earth. Allow a release into the hips, dropping the knees from right to left for a few rounds. A great way to reset. If you would like to stay here longer, take more rounds, more breaths, or begin to set up for our second pose of this sequence, coming into bridge. Again, the shoulders are rounded under, knees are bent, soles of the feet grounded, with an option to lift the right leg if looking for a little bit more fire. Keep drawing the hips up, active core, strong glutes. If the right leg was lifted, with your next exhale, release it down, and then we will all soften onto the back, where again we reset by drawing the knees from right to left. Going through those poses one more time, either coming to waterfall, shoulder stand, or something altogether different to begin completing your practice here today. Remembering to breathe through the poses you have taken. It is a great moment to reflect on our practice and all that your body has done. If you've been in shoulder stand or waterfall, slowly come out, take any rebounding motions that feel good before our final visit to bridge pose. If you lifted the right leg on the other side, this would be a great chance to lift the left leg to even out into the body. If trying these lifts, ensure there isn't deep pinching into the low back, and continue to lift the hips high. From whatever pose you have chosen, soften out of it. Take a final moment to move, to release into the hips before we meet with knees in towards the chest. Maybe peeling your head and shoulders off of the earth, making a small and energetic ball. Feeling gratitude flow throughout you. Maybe a smile on your face when you are ready. Soften to your backside, exhale, and release into stillness, where I invite you to enjoy Shavasana. Very gently and slowly begin to wiggle in the toes and the fingers. Beginning to make your way out of this pose of rest, allow yourself, maybe with eyes closed, to transition to a seated upright position. Once you get there, allow the palms to once again connect to your heart space. Lengthen into your spine, perhaps inhaling and exhaling the word gratitude. Our hands will meet in front of heart center in prayer position. Together we take one more inhale, folding forward. Namaste. Thanking you so much for being here for this fire practice. It was a privilege and an honor to move through something a little bit different. I would love to hear your feedback as always, and would be grateful to hear a comment below of what pose brought you the most gratitude. Looking forward to seeing you all very soon, sending you all of my gratitude and appreciation for being here.